Catalyst Company's main event took place in San Francisco mid-September. I had a chance to speak with Jeremiah, the founder of Catalyst Companies, at South by Southwest this year, and I will link to the 3-part interview posted on the Hacking Innovation blog. So as far as I understand, Jeremiah founded Catalyst Companies in December of 2013 with the idea to help big companies with the collaborative economy. So Catalyst Companies is a membership-based organization for large corporations who want to lead in innovation. So day one of the conference, IBM hosted members for a luncheon, and then there was a tour with interactive demonstrations of how Watson is being currently used in a variety of industries. Day two was kicked off by Tom Khalil, who has served 2 presidents, President Clinton and President Obama, for about 16 years. He discussed the role that leading companies have played and should play in advancing national innovation initiatives. Fifth Wall CEO Ricardo presented the future of mixed reality and really how brands are engaging in this space. And Komal, the founder and CEO of Copia, shared with members how she has innovated and overcame obstacles in launching Copia. Sparks and Honey led a rapid fire, what they call culture briefing, with Catalyst Companies members, during which they unpacked and classified a curated selection of recent global cultural signs. Last but not least, Jeremiah led the members through the latest research report on corporate innovation programs, and it was really an interesting perspective on the metrics that are being used to help advance these type of programs. And so I think one of the overarching conclusions is that there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. However, there's certain companies, there's certain examples of advanced corporate innovation programs. For example, Wells Fargo kicked off an enterprise innovation group, and this is acting like a catalyst, and they also kicked off a startup accelerator program. Johnson & Johnson Labs, they have an open innovation play, and really through this approach they're improving their entire industry. And Adobe has started an entrepreneurship program, and through what they call the Adobe Kickbox, share practical tools with innovators at thousands of companies. So there's many lessons learned. Some of the takeaways we got is that one of the main takeaways is around the fact that companies are falling behind when it comes to innovation. And the main reason for that is the culture. And people are comfortable within their roles, with their jobs. The sales are coming in. There's billions and maybe millions of dollars made with existing type of sales. But the question is, how do we make sure that we don't get disrupted by the next Amazon or Google or the next startup? And there's always going to be some disruptor, because these startups are designed, it's part of their DNA, to turn fast and to innovate. Big corporations in turn are designed to implement at scale. So we really need to continue doing what we're doing, but at the same time take the best things that come from the startup world. So there are 10 types of corporate innovation programs. Some people approach it from an angle of a dedicated innovation team, maybe having university partnerships, starting, as I mentioned, entrepreneurship programs. So definitely there's not a one-size-fits-all type of approach. In his presentation, Tom Khalil drove this point home, and the fact that companies should play an active role in identifying moonshots, what he called them as ambitious but achievable goals, and also should play a role in improving regional startup ecosystems. So in terms of the innovation becoming rapidly democratized, what that means is that we need a strategic program that goes across lines of business, business units, and customer segments. And we're definitely not talking about a standalone think tank like program that owns business unit specific innovation programs or is responsible for resource allocation around innovation activity. We're really talking about a redesign of our innovation processes and reaching a goal of democratized customer-centered innovation systems. So in their latest research paper, the Catalyst Companies team highlighted few recommendations. For example, the MasterCard CEO founded MasterCard Labs and constantly inspires team members to iterate and come up with new products. So we definitely need executive sponsorship. Without it, grassroots innovation is fragmented. And the most effective incentives tie employee progress on innovation KPIs directly to pay structure. In terms of encouraging rapid prototyping in early ideation stages, there's examples of companies that have sessions called Take Chances, Learning Forward type of sessions, or 6 in 60-minute sessions where they share every quarter ideas for about 10 minutes with a focus not only successes but also applicable learnings. Another lesson was to involve an array of cross-functional stakeholders like corporate strategy, legal, marketing, and finance early in the process of coming up with this corporate innovation program. And we also found out that mature corporations find that focusing on ROI over other growth KPIs is actually harmful to innovation programs. And really, we should be encouraging speed to market and increased ideas cycling through the pipeline rather than driving revenue and margin and classical type of KPIs. It was very interesting. We noticed some of the presenters and the topics that were discussed were centered around top trends and emerging technologies. And I've noticed there's a Gartner Hype Cycle report that came out a couple of weeks before the Catalyst Companies conference. And out of all of these technologies, I would like to focus on the ones that are positioned to create significant impact really in the next 2 to 5 years, hopefully with increased adoption. So under artificial intelligence, there are 3 underlying technologies: machine learning, deep learning, and smart workspaces. Under immersive experiences, augmented reality and virtual reality, and under digital platforms, edge computing and IoT platforms. Gartner has also mapped out these technologies along the time axis based on the phase. Like you see their innovation trigger, peak of inflated expectations, and so on. It is interesting to notice that the majority of these emerging technologies are either in that first phase of innovation trigger or peak of inflated expectations. Somebody shared a quote recently by the MIT Media Lab founder Nicolas Negroponte, and he defines AI in terms of computing is not about computers anymore, it's about living. So in this broader context, AI is no longer, and when we say AI, let's talk about practical things. We're talking about machine learning and deep analytics, deep learning. So AI is now not longer about technology, but about customer experiences. So we want to be as seamless as possible, and we want to augment customer experiences with our services and products. If you look today at augmented reality and virtual reality, the use cases are very industry dependent. But in the near future, all industries will be transformed. And really how we work and how we use AR and VR to understand information and to change our experience and our perspective will undergo a huge shift. And it was clear to us when the Fifth Wall CEO Ricardo presented some of the landscape around this, that the big players are making advances and they're investing heavily in this space. And so in terms of IoT, this is one of the most prominent technologies. Really, they're playing a key role in digital transformation. And there was a recent report by BCG, by Boston Consulting Group, regarding the future of IoT adoption and spending. And they're basically highlighting the fact that IoT platform market is projected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 40% through 2020. Hence the recent announcement by Dell. So really exciting times. Thanks again, Jeremiah, Carl, and the Catalyst team for putting together such a great event.